Okay guys, so I recently watched Huda Beauty's video where she explains how she bakes and how it's really essential and that it actually makes you look less cakey when you bake the certain way that she does it. So I figured I would go ahead and try it today for you guys because why not? Let's see how well this works, if it's really true, if her tips and tricks help. So I've already done my makeup. I have not set it with any powder. You have her setting powder, which is in the shade Pound Cake. So I'm gonna be using this today. I guess most of her powders have like an undertone. I'm not sure if this one is like a neutral one or what, but I will look it up and leave it in the description box or put it up here or something if it is supposed to have an undertone in it. So the first one I believe that she had said was that you should use a sponge. Where did I put mine? So I always use a sponge usually to set my powder. I don't really like to use brushes. Sometimes I will, but usually I go with the Beauty Blender. I just use this, as you can see, to do my makeup, but I'm just gonna use the same sponge. You can use a different one if you want to. This is already damp and everything, and what she said to do in her video that she does is she wets her Beauty Blender, you know, squeezes the excess out, then takes a towel and gets the dampness out, and then also she takes a like tissue, I believe she said, if I'm not mistaken, and then gets the dampness out. And by the way, if you guys are curious about this sponge, this is by Spicy Choco. I've talked about them before. This is their Tear Blend sponge. It's really, really nice. Okay, so first thing I'm gonna do is get my powder out. What she did to help get the powder out is like really tap it on the back. So I'm going to do that. And that did help get a lot of the powder out. I've heard people before complain about her powder and say it was hard to get it out. Because that's a good tip if you use her powder. And then what she did was she took her blender and she said she just likes to take the tip right here and get that really nice and coated. Just the very tip of it. That is what mine looks like. It looks about even to hers. And then she also suggests that you can take any excess of this and just tap a little out on the back of your hand so that way you're not going in too heavy-handed.
And just pat it a few times to take any excess product off. There's still a nice amount of product there, but I've removed some.
And then she explains to take the sponge and she starts off at the corner of her eye and just takes the little tip and starts to apply from that area and then just bringing it over. Then I'm gonna do the same thing on the other eye. Throughout the video, she's tapping into her hand as well, where she put the extra powder. And I'm just gonna apply there. She says to snatch her nose, she goes along the nose. So I'm getting a little extra powder and then tapping it out on the back of my hand, and I'm gonna start snatching my nose. I've done this in the past and I feel like it does work really well, especially if you like to contour your nose. And she explained that taking really small stippling motions is what helps so that you really use all that product and kind of spread it out evenly. And then she explains that she goes into her laugh lines, so I'm going to do that as well. Which I always like to set my laugh lines just as she does, like the same thing, because that's one spot on me that tends to crease. And then she said she likes to put some on her chin, which I get oily there as well. It's really my T-zone where I get oily, so I'm gonna do that as well. And then she goes underneath her contour, which I did contour today. She kind of went into explaining her face shape and that she doesn't always like to use this method, but she kind of just did it for the video, so I'm gonna do it as well. I do like to do this just to kind of clean up the contour and set right underneath it, and it just sharpens it a little bit. And then she goes back in with her sponge and she's just soaking up any excess product. So I'm just gonna do that. I'm gonna kind of go around and start tapping everything in and picking up any excess. And then she goes between her brows. She said she gets sweaty there. I don't really notice that, but I'm just gonna do it for the sake of this video. I don't really feel like I get sweaty in this area as much. And this is different, which I've never heard of this before, but she actually goes in and sets her brows. I don't really feel like my brows tend to get oily, but like I said, for the sake of this video, we are gonna bake just the way that she likes to do it. She suggested using a very like stiff kind of brush. I don't know if mine's exactly like hers. I feel like it's a little bit bigger, but we're gonna rock with this one. Okay, so I went ahead and she said to just apply some to the tip of the brush, and then she just said to get away like any fallout, so I'm tapping that on the back of my hand again. And she said the first spot that she likes to go into is the front of the brow, so I'm just gonna go and start combing that in. And it's kind of falling out down on my face, just an FYI. And then I'm gonna come back in a couple of minutes because she said she likes to leave this on her brow for a few minutes, and then I'll be back and we'll finish. Okay, so I have let this sit on my brow for about 10 minutes, and then I'm gonna go ahead and wipe the excess off. Or she said to use a spoolie. So I'm just gonna take my Anastasia Brow Wiz and just kind of take the excess out. I feel like it kind of softens the brows a little bit too, which is nice. And one other thing I forgot to do before I finished my makeup, she said to take a setting powder. I actually have her setting powder, and she said to put it on your beauty blender and then go over all the areas where you bake. And I really do like this setting spray. It kind of has a strong scent to it, but it works really, really well. Just like the smell on this, maybe I needed to like wait a minute, but it's like, it's so intense, it kind of makes my eyes water, but it really is a good setting spray. It's just like, I don't know if it's the fragrance in it or what, but it kind of makes my eyes water. And I think you can use like Fix Plus or anything like that too. I'm just trying to follow the video. So this is what we're looking like right now. I think it looks pretty flawless and airbrushed, so I'm happy with the results so far, and I'm going to finish my makeup and I'll be right back. All right guys, so I just finished up my makeup and I feel like it looks really, really flawless. I do like a lot of the tips that she used in the video, and I'm curious to see if my makeup will last longer and like if my brows maybe will stay more flaky throughout the day. I don't really ever notice, like I said, a problem with that, but I just felt like I should try it. I think it softened up my brows just ever so slightly, which I like that effect. But the rest of my face looks really flawless. I don't feel like I look cakey at all using the tips that she used. Definitely less is more with the powder. Just try to use the tip of putting it on the back of your hand if you feel like you have too much, so you don't get that excess. But yeah, I really liked doing this video. If you guys want me to do more like following somebody's like makeup tutorial or like their tips and tricks, let me know in the comments below, or any other videos that you guys want me to do. And yeah, I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys in my next video very soon. Bye.